JT. You're now in tune to Agree to Disagree. Agree to Disagree on Urban Hype Radio with your host, Superfly Forte, First Class, and DJ JT.
Yes, everybody. We are back. We've been gone for a minute, but we are here. So, you're listening to Agree to Disagree, and you know how we get it. We have our co-host in the building. Where you guys at?
First Class here as always. You know what I do.
Yeah, sounds good. Forte.
Superfly in the building. Let's get it.
And we got our new addition.
New member.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Who that?
Where's she at?
I'm here. It's Sierra in the building. I'm excited to join the team.
That's it. We want to welcome Sierra to the team. And she adds a different element, so it's going to be crazy going forward. So, now that Sierra is part of the team, I'm going to start with her. So, normally we start off how your weekend's been so far. So, you're up.
How was my weekend?
Yeah, so far. What'd you do Friday?
I ate terribly all weekend long. All weekend long. I went to lunch with my dad. Oh, I got a new job.
Oh,
congrats.
Right. Secure that bag.
Exactly.
Facts. You better send a reference over here.
So we were celebrated with my dad and then my boo. And what did I do yesterday? Oh, nothing. I stayed home.
Yeah, I know you don't know how this works, but you got to be on point with the answer.
Because I felt like I did do something, but that's what I
Okay. Sounds not too bad. Not too bad. Forte, what about you, man?
Well, I was pretty much on the same vibe, man. I just ate horribly all weekend. I wasn't really celebrating nothing, but I found a new sushi spot though. It's a nice,
Where?
probably the best sushi I've had in a very long time. It's at McCowan and Commander. It's called Sushi Legend.
Oh, yeah.
I've never I was thoroughly impressed.
Okay.
I don't do sushi like that. So.
Yeah, say First Class, you're not about the sushi life.
That's way too much gas. McCowan and anywhere is too far.
That's how it goes. Real quick, Forte, you eat horribly? I feel like you're the health freak out of the group.
I try to be sometimes.
You gotta know not to follow Instagram. They don't believe it.
Hey man, life is all about balance. That's how I look at it.
Okay, got you.
Take the good with the bad sometimes.
Thought you were on that salad tip, man.
I'm all the way up on the bad side. I ate that horribly yesterday too, and I'm proud of it. I went to this place called Chuck's Roadhouse. I shouldn't even be putting my secret place out there, but it is what it is. They are bomb. The prices are cheap. It's a roadhouse, so they serve steak, they serve wings. If you get wings, you get the chili Thai wings.
Good choice.
They have a burger and fries. The burger and fries are $5. The wings are, I believe, $10. Listen, doubles, as in not West Indian doubles.
Okay.
Doubles as in like a double rum and coke is $6.
Oh,
Ooh.
So yeah, that's my spot.
Like a nice
What's it
spot to
called?
go to.
Chuck's Roadhouse?
Yeah.
All right.
So, I put you on. Just remember.
Everybody would store that in your phones.
We were there yesterday. We all ate ridiculously. And for what we ate, the bill came up to like $60.
Really?
So, yeah, man. I'm telling you something.
Okay.
Yeah.
We see you, Chuck.
Definitely. Shouts to Chuck's, man.
All right. I guess I'm up. For myself, Friday, I should have been off of work. Went in and did a little bit of hours on Friday. And then, I pretty much just chilled out. Not too much. I don't really get to chill out too often, so did that on Friday. Saturday, I was up early, so I went to get my hair cut at 7:20 in the morning. From there, I had to drop some stuff off at work for scheduling purposes, and then just after that, I had my mom's brunch birthday. We just did that, and the family came out. Everybody ate, had good times. So I guess I was a little bit on the bad eating tip too, but still surprised at Forte.
That's right. Hashtag bad eating. We good.
It's winter.
Yep.
Like Forte said, there's a balance, right?
There should be, at least. There should be a balance. There should be. Well, that's good. Everybody sounds like they having fun, and that's always good. Thanksgiving had just passed, so hope everybody enjoyed with their family and they gave thanks for things that they have. You know what I mean?
Go. Post Thanksgiving dinners. That's what we have.
Yeah, for sure. I seen people eating turkey all week. Like,
yeah, facts.
I actually hate turkey.
Really?
You gotta put some cranberry sauce.
Get that. I just learned about the cranberry sauce this year, man.
I never liked turkey.
I never liked
put
cranberry
that
sauce.
on there.
The cranberry
boy,
sauce.
oh boy.
The cranberry sauce
Boy,
makes a
oh
difference.
boy.
Yep.
Shout out to Mama Daly. She throws down.
For sure. All right, so I mean, you're listening to Agree to Disagree, and we're about to get into the next segment, so don't go nowhere.
The breakdown. The breakdown.
Yes. So that was the breakdown, and that's where our new co-host Sierra and First Class give you the juice, the scoop, the goodies. So you guys up. Tell me what's good.
Wait a minute. We're going to switch it up a little bit today, though.
Ooh,
We're going to
okay.
switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
So, I'm going to let Sierra bring in the dirt. But it's been a crazy week.
For sure.
And with that being said, we're just going to do a special show today.
Special. That sounds good. I'm about that life.
Sierra, do what you do.
So today we are going to be discussing the Kanye West and Donald Trump meeting. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a die-hard Kanye West fan.
Really?
I've been riding with this man for years.
Show's over.
When everybody was ready to throw in the towel, I stayed on his side.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to the point now where I can no longer defend the antics.
Getting?
Because
you're just getting there?
No, yes, because honestly, I was really believing that, he's dealing with a lot. He lost his mom. It doesn't seem like he has a good support team around him that tells
clearly.
him no. He should
Right? Okay.
But I was more thinking like he needs help. Like instead of chastising him, let's come together as a community and help him, because that's what I thought he needed. But at this point, I'm starting to think that he's doing everything for attention.
Okay. Who else gonna jump in? I'm ready.
Let me hop in quickly here. Let me stop it. So Kanye West, these are quotes. I do not take advice from anybody less successful than me. I don't think anybody could talk to Kanye. He's not gonna listen to nobody.
I just have a point to put in there, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you support Kanye?
Support what? Do I listen to his music? Yeah, absolutely.
He knew where I was going.
There's a difference between music and person.
No, but
all right.
I listen to his music.
All right.
You cannot. Every celebrity is gonna do or say something that's going to somebody else is gonna disagree with them at some point. Right. You don't throw the person away just because they might have views that you don't like. What does it have to do with the man's craft? He's good at what he does.
No, he's not.
What are you? Are you trying to tell whose production is as good as Kanye West?
His whole album last time was Drake.
Wow.
First of all, we'll get into that too. We'll get into that.
I got you, Aubrey. I got you, Aubrey.
Album.
I got you, Aubrey.
Listen,
we could talk.
That's not fact. You
it's
cannot
facts.
say Drake might have wrote for him, but I'm talking about production.
What's production?
Beats making.
Yeah.
That's not hip hop though.
What are you saying? Beats are not hip hop?
Well, I mean, it is hip hop, but it's not rapping. Sorry, that's what I meant. So stay in your lane. Do your beats.
He's a good rapper.
He is a good rapper, but it's made for him.
Yeah, but that could go again.
So
we could say that about Drake if we wanted to. Like, there's a lot of artists that don't write everything that they put out, so we can't.
No, not writing. Like, for example, Beyonce doesn't write everything she puts out, but she writes too, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's different. I'm not talking about collaborating, but Drake literally wrote like 90% of his album.
I didn't hear 90%.
You need to watch the LeBron.
I watched it. I didn't hear him say that. Oh, I must have missed that part. Because.
I didn't watch that, by the way.
Maybe I'm misquoting.
I don't know. That sounds
maybe I'm misquoting.
That doesn't sound accurate.
But you gotta fake it till you make it straight.
It don't sound accurate to me.
Okay, so
you wrote a lot of it.
So I'm gonna jump in there real quick where the whole Kanye thing's situated. Music-wise, from being a DJ and standpoint, he does put out music, and I think that his music speaks for itself. I think that's one of those things you can't really take away from Kanye. What I think hurts Kanye, I think as a whole, is like you said, the antics that he does or puts himself or just becomes part of. You know what I mean? He has these outbursts, and I think that part of it is he has a lot going on in his head. I don't know. I kind of relate Kanye to. It might sound weird. It might sound he shouldn't be on that level, but I relate him to like an Einstein.
I agree.
He has a lot going on in his head, and he might be a lot more smarter than he should be for his time. but he doesn't know how to control it. And then when he starts speaking, it's
It
just
sounds
not
crazy.
formulated. Yeah.
You know
It's
what?
because the climate of what's going on in the world right
Yeah.
now that Kanye, his antics are not needed.
You know what? I've been on record saying pretty much what you said
Mhm.
because in history it's shown that no genius has been appreciated
Yeah, yeah,
in their time.
for sure.
And to some degree, I've been on your level where it's like I'm gonna give you a little bit more of the rope.
Hmm.
I'm not just gonna jump, but I'm. There's no starting to think I'm completely off Kanye West because at the end of the day, no matter how you want to break it down, you have an opportunity
Mhm.
to do something for black people.
Mhm.
Whether you want to take that responsibility or not is up to you. But when you do the actions that you do, there's ramifications no matter what.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
truly believe that as an artist, I shouldn't have to feel like I'm a role model.
Mhm.
But I have responsibilities to do, and I feel like he's doing things that are strictly for him. Because,
For
like you
sure.
said, he's trying to get attention. For
Yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I truly think that he's doing this to somehow gain certain groups of people for when he runs for president. Because I definitely think he's going to do that.
I don't know. I don't even think it's that. I honestly think Kanye reminds me of a child. And you know when a kid falls down and before they start to cry, they look around to see if anybody's paying attention.
Yeah.
And the more eyes that are on them, the louder they'll cry.
Yeah.
That's that's what I think this is. Like I don't think he's setting up for anything than what's in front of him right now. So if he has an album that's dropping, Kanye's gonna do something crazy. If he has a new line for Yeezy or whatever the hell it is he sells, Kanye's gonna do something crazy. That's what I think it is. I don't even think he's thinking about like, oh, I want to run for president because really and truly, I don't think that Kanye West fans are gonna support
Yeah,
that. Like he's
they
not
wouldn't.
Well, not
gonna.
Yeah, they
now.
wouldn't.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's one thing to buy his album or stream his album.
Yeah,
Really, at this point, it's a completely different thing to say, yo, I'm going to vote
yeah.
for this man who literally is. He could be this way today and that way tomorrow. He'll apologize for everything that Kanye says. He'll backpedal. Like I don't know if he gets on the phone with Kim or
It's definitely
whomever.
not Kim.
Yeah.
It's not Kim.
Kim, in my opinion,
Needs to put him in
my
check.
opinion, this is not facts, but in my opinion, Kim is the one putting him out there.
What do you
You
mean?
think
As
so?
in, not
You
necessarily,
think
not
Kanye
not
listens to
necessarily
Kim?
like saying, "Yo, you need to go do this," but not saying you need to stop.
She knows how to
Yeah, yeah. She's
capitalize.
not.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
knows
Yeah.
how to
That's a better way
capitalize.
of putting it.
Yeah,
Well, at the end of the day, she's not black. So
yeah,
these things don't affect her the
yeah,
same way that if Kanye was married to a black woman,
yeah.
Oh
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
If
I,
it was if it was a black woman, it'd be totally different for
yeah,
him.
yeah,
Thing
yeah.
totally
And of
different.
course, we're speculating. We don't know what Kim does, but I mean, I think it's less of a speculation,
Kim
more
has
of a
been
reality.
more than often than not shown to capitalize on opportunities.
Yeah,
That's what she
definitely.
does.
Well, I mean,
But
it's
do
not
you
complete.
think that Kimberly believes in the things? I called her Kimberly like I know. Do you think she believes in the rhetoric that Kanye's putting out there, or do you think it's something like she doesn't agree with him, but she
But
doesn't?
I
I
think
think she believes in the ratings
Yeah,
First,
yeah,
first
for
because
of all,
that's
sure.
all
But
getting
do
her
you
stuff for
think
her
that
show.
she agrees with the things that are coming out of his mouth?
what is
I don't
Kanye
know,
putting
but
out there? I don't even know. Like what? Like
Kanye called um, Donald Trump a father figure. He said that he loves him. He says that he makes him when he puts on that "Make America Great Again" hat.
Feels like
He
Superman.
feels like Superman.
okay,
So to me, it's like you look at somebody like Colin Kaepernick that has been fighting for all these things. Why is he not Superman then?
mm-hmm.
Because he gave up his job,
Mm-hmm.
which he hasn't got back yet, and still been busting his ass to make sure that he fights for what he believes in. To the point that Nike made that commercial, Nike stood behind him. He got an award at Harvard. Like people are still getting behind him, and yet the NFL is still not giving him a job. To me, that's a superhero, and that alone shows you why America is not great now, nor has it been. Then you have other people. We could go on, like LeBron, Venus Williams, people that are doing things for our community. Kanye got called out already before because he has a charity that supposedly he's not doing anything for. And you're from Chicago. Like, Chicago is one of the worst places in the States where killings are happening all the time.
What I think with Kanye, again, because I do think he does everything for um,
Publicity.
publicity. It's like clickbait with Kanye. Like Kanye will say something ridiculous, but then there's something else that
Mm-hmm.
you could be like, okay, yeah, I can
I
kind
guess
of
so.
see.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like what he said about
Slavery is a choice.
yeah, yeah, but the new thing that he said the other day about when he was talking about the Fifth Amendment or whatever,
Yeah.
and he was saying that like the whole thing about talking about, oh, we're prisoners, we're still prisoners, and we need to abolish the Fifth Amendment, and everybody went crazy about, oh, why would he like that's how whatever slavery ended.
Mm-hmm.
But really and truly, again, I don't know if anybody's taken the time to watch 13.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
So
that's where
what?
you're going. Go on.
Yeah. So what he was trying to say
What you
was
think he was trying
no,
to
no, no.
say.
That's what if you again when you hear Kanye say something wild, you're so focused on the wild
No, I know you got.
that you don't break down
Ti
what else he.
Yeah,
You know what
Ti
I
said
mean?
it best. If you take the minute to let him fully get it out,
Exactly.
even though it might be exhausting, you'll somewhat understand at the end.
Exactly.
So
Because think about it. Everybody who's had a anybody who's we're not celebrities, so we don't have the luxury of just calling Kanye to
Mm-hmm.
be like, what did you mean by that?
Yeah.
But anybody who's gone further to break down what it is he's talking about has always come back and said like, you know what, he's working through a lot. I can see that like he's willing to listen to what I have to say.
Right.
I can kind of understand what he has to say. But when you get Kanye in front of cameras, he's always going to reach. He's gonna reach. You know
And
what I mean?
and I agree with everything you're saying, but again, I think we're kind of saying the same thing. There's a point where you gotta say, wait a minute, you gotta do something for more than yourself. Because
Yeah.
truthfully,
But he's
whether
selfish.
we whether
So
whether
why
we
are we
say
turning to him?
because at the end of the day, whether we say whether or not, well, she's not. We know that fact. Kim is not black, but you know who is? His children.
Yeah.
What type of example are you teaching your children right now? Because
But
they're gonna have to go in that same world.
North, Saint, Chicago, they are not growing up the
Yeah,
way
they're
that
not growing
everyone.
up in the world.
I
that they
I
grow up.
agree, but it's still listen. Jay-Z still can't get houses some places.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like no matter what, I get it. Their level is not gonna be a struggle like ours,
So
but
let
there's
me ask
still a
you.
struggle when it comes to racism.
I completely agree. But let's say, which he wouldn't. My dad would never. But if Jay Z was to have married a Kim, do you think that Jay Z would have ever gotten to be so big that he doesn't realize like my people are down here, but I'm up here? So, because that's what it is with Kanye. Kanye has forgotten what it is to be a regular African American, deal with the struggles. He's above it, and that's what it is. He's married to somebody who's she's been above it, so they don't have to deal with the same, whatever. He doesn't. He barely before he made this trip to Chicago. When was the last time that Kanye West even went to Chicago? That man lives in Calabasas.
Mm. Mm.
I don't even. I've never heard who.
Where is
Anybody who
Calabasas?
lives in Calabasas is rich. That is a rich,
Yeah.
predominantly
Yeah.
white
Facts.
area. Anybody black that lives there is rich. Drake lives there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like, which this is the part that I struggle with personally because it's like I get it as a fan. Like I'm grown, so I know when you can say this, but I'm not gonna agree with you, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take this in or whatever. And I do see that everything that Kanye says is harmful, but I also feel like just tune it out. Like why are we putting so much weight into everything that comes out
Mm.
of that man's mouth? But I do. The problem is not really because I don't think it's our youth that's gonna follow Kanye and be like, whatever he said is word is bond. I don't think that's that. It's white people who are gonna be like, well, isn't Kanye West your guy? So why
Yeah.
won't you listen to what Kanye has
But
to
I
say?
think-
That's where the problem lies.
Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's exactly what it is. It's the fact that you have somebody that's in power that has fooled these racist middle-aged or middle-class white people that now feel that they can do so many things, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, we're complaining because we're like, you guys haven't treated us right in so long, but then you have Kanye West saying, oh no, we're good. I love this guy. He does everything good for us.
Yeah.
When all he's tried to do is tear us down. And truthfully, in a way, I feel like they're kind of the same person.
Kanye and Trump.
Yeah, because I feel that I honestly don't know if Trump is racist. And the reason why I say that is because I think that guy has an alternative motive for everything. So he might know that, hey, my base are racist people. So I'm going to play into that. Does his actions show that he's racist? Absolutely. And would I bet that he's not? Absolutely not. But all I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if we found out later, oh no, he's not racist. He just played into them so that he can manipulate them.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So now you're being manipulated. You're getting used by the same person that's gonna put you in the same spot as me. He's not gonna say, "Oh, you're gonna be the guy cleaning the dishes while I'm getting whipped." Put it in however you want to put it. You know what I mean? So it's like you're in a position to do something, and you're always for yourself. And I feel like, in my opinion, I've given you time. Time and time again, I've said, "Listen, Kanye is a genius," but just because you're a genius doesn't mean you're gonna use that in the best way, and that's where I draw the line. After he did, like I promise you, I was already done with Kanye anyway, but now I'm done with him, firm. Like I don't listen to his music. If it comes on the radio, I'm not just gonna change it. Fine.
Yeah.
But,
but you're not gonna buy an album.
I'm not supporting anything. I would never buy his clothes anyway because they're full of holes. But I'm off him straight, and I think I look back because my guy is Jay-Z. I look back and I'm like, this is why this guy distanced himself. I really feel like Beyonce said, "Yo, he's not good for you, so
he had to.
We don't do this."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Of course, I'm gonna go with my wife." And your wife is a representation of you.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think at the same point for Jay, he's a cash cow, right? He makes Jay money. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So
I think that. See, when people talk about Jay-Z and Kanye's relationship, it's like
you don't know.
You don't really know. You don't really know.
And what you see with Jay-Z, you can see who his core friends are.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Tata.
Kanye, exactly. Kanye, that's a business relationship.
Yeah.
Facts.
They might have had some moments where I think Jay-Z has given him some insight on, you know what I mean, how to be a better man or whatever, helped him along the way.
Yeah.
But to say that they're friends, I can't go that far to say that. I don't think Jay-Z and Beyonce care. Like Beyonce, that's my bitch. But she doesn't seem like the type of person. She doesn't seem like she doesn't care about anything that doesn't involve her man, her mom, or her kids. You know what I mean? So I don't think that. I think when Beyonce and Jay-Z see the foolishness that Kanye's carrying on with, it doesn't really faze them. I don't think they're moved by it. Like the way that we are clearly passionately talking about this right now, I don't think they have these conversations.
I don't know if I agree with you because I've seen things in their movement that like this is going into like a whole different thing, but I feel like Jay and Beyonce move so like I don't want to say secretive, but so quietly that like when you think that you know, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like with whatever when they were together, everybody knew you guys are no, we're cool. Like, and if you get it, you get it. If you know, you know. When there's stuff about their charity, I remember Jay making a song telling us exactly all the charities he did, and he's like, but y'all never knew that, so I don't talk my business. So things like him dissing Beyonce, I think that was definitely like, don't worry, when I see you, I'm gonna check you.
No, but what I think is because this is my thing. Kanye and B might be they are private people, but Kanye's not. So if Beyonce and Jay-Z were reaching out to Kanye and having these elaborate conversations,
Kanye always say something.
Whatever, he would have already told us.
Yeah.
And that's not happening. And I don't think that this is a thing where this is like, let's say, Tiffany Haddish and Beyonce to be like, oh, I was supposed to sign that NDA, so now I'm done talking about it. Kanye would have let us know.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't.
We're talking about Jay here, you know. Like, again, I don't want to get into too much, but Jay knows certain people that Kanye, if they say don't talk, Kanye ain't talking.
So. Kanye doesn't have. I don't think nobody controls Kanye.
Exactly. When he went, didn't you hear what Kanye said? I love you, Kanye. I love me too. Kanye doesn't care about. I hear you.
I hear you.
Kanye made a whole He said, I'm moving back to Chicago, and Kim said, I am not.
Yeah.
That sounds like they didn't even have a conversation
Yeah,
about this.
yeah.
So I don't think that Kanye has. You think that Kanye puts Jay-Z above his wife?
Kanye doesn't put Jay-Z above himself since that Big Brother track. That was it.
Okay.
That was
So
it.
I don't think that Jay-Z. I like. I feel like Jay is like, yo, when that guy's ready to calm down,
Yeah.
then we can have a conversation. But when he's going on the way, like T.I. might be reaching out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, not reaching out anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
not anymore. But the way that other celebrities have been like, yeah, I call Kanye. I don't
Try to
think
talk
that
to him,
Jay-Z is
yeah.
doing that. I don't think, like Jay-Z said, he's worried about his family and
Yeah.
his success and what's going on with him. He's not worried about what Kanye's doing. Let that man sink his own ship. That's what I think.
Facts. Like I agree with that last statement that you just made.
Yeah.
I think that he is on that where it's like sink your own ship
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't think Kanye has as much pull as we're giving him, man.
Maybe
Kanye,
not.
he's not like nobody looks up to Kanye that way. Where it's like, oh, Kanye's in the news with the president, so now kids are gonna be looking up to him,
Yeah.
believing his every word. Like nobody really messes with Kanye like that.
Nah, I think you're wrong. I think that we think that, but Kanye has a lot of influence on a lot of people.
I think there's some sort of pull there because I mean once again I know Kanye has these outbursts. I know but like legit he's sitting in the White House having a meeting. I'm like, what? Why?
But if he wasn't
televised.
married to Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian, would he still be in that White House
Yes.
meeting?
Yes.
I don't know about
Maybe just because of
Yes.
who the president is at the moment.
Yes.
But because Trump doesn't care about Kanye.
Of course not.
Well, we know that.
It's the same. Yeah.
We know that.
We all agree on that
Same.
point.
I think it's the same tactic in reverse to be like, I think Donald Trump is mocking black people every single time.
Every
he
single
meets
time.
with Kanye or whatever, makes a tweet about Kanye. It's literally like, ha ha ha, I have one of you over here
Yeah.
on my nuts.
Puppets.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what I think it is. I don't know.
But at the same time, to your point, you don't see his sales go down. You know what I mean? So he must be influencing.
But I
somebody.
also
That's his
feel like-
music, and that's,
exactly.
you're
Like, I
mixing
don't
the
think
personal with
but
the.
the
that's what
people that
people
are
do.
listening to Kanye
No.
West music
No.
or buying Kanye
Some
West.
people do that, but I'm saying I don't think it's the core people that are following him. Like they like his what he does, but they don't follow him. You know, there's some artists where it's like I'm standing by this artist.
Yeah.
What's going on in their personal life that impacts me. That means something to me. Kanye, nobody cares about.
I think
Kanye's
Nas
personal life.
was one of those ones who's on the tip. He's
Kanye's
like, yo,
Kanye's
as an
a
artist,
reality
Kanye
star.
is amazing.
Who cares
But
about
his-
Kanye?
The other side of
But
Kanye,
I'm not
that's-
talking about somebody like that.
But,
I'm talking about like young.
The average- yeah, okay.
Americans that.
yeah.
You know, like that's
this
a
is the
different
thing. I
conversation.
think that anybody who's following Kanye is. I don't believe that anybody over the age what is age of majority?
I'd say that
Or not to vote. Sorry, 21.
No,
There?
18.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, whatever. Who cares? Anyways, I don't think that anybody who can legally vote would vote or agree with anything that comes out of Kanye's mouth. Like I said, I love Kanye West. I love him as an artist. I don't even know where I would go to find Yeezys or any.
Exactly. I
of
don't care about
the-
that stuff. Exactly.
Whatever season. I think that
It's not
shit
his
is
brand
trash.
that we follow.
Yeah.
It's just the music.
Exactly. And
No, I get that.
real friends can say like, nah, that's not it. If Beyonce puts out a trash song, I'm not listening to it. 7-Eleven wasn't it, and I don't rock with that song. That doesn't mean I'm not does that mean I'm not in the Beehive? Real fans.
Hold on. For a second, we're just gonna go over this quickly. So you are in the Beehive.
1000% honorary gold member.
Gold member.
Let me just say this: I ain't no gold member, but I be in there too. Or to the Beyonce. You know what I mean? We can go back, but I just gotta put it out there. Beyonce is shit.
No, but
Back on track, guys. The thing is with Kanye, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
The thing is with Kanye is our generation. These little 14, 15, they're not listening to Kanye. What has Kanye dropped recently that these kids are going to listen to?
Nothing.
Oopity doo, ba-doo, ba-doo.
Nah, these kids are listening to Kanye. They're not listening to Pusha T. Like, they're listening to Lil Yachty. They're listening to Lil Pump. Whatever these Lil
Yachty,
names
Lil
are.
everything.
Yeah.
can I just say that's what I did yesterday? I went to my aunt and my uncle's. When I was
You had your chance already.
Wow. Wow.
I went to my cousins
That kid-
yesterday,
Yeah.
and they were playing their. I thought that I was, a I do
You
not
don't know none of that music that
anything
they're
about
actually
these
listening to.
artists. Every single song sounds exactly the same. They all look the same.
Yep.
Who was it?
We don't
She
know.
probably doesn't
What?
know.
Just a tattoo. It's a
Probably
guy with,
doesn't
it's a
know.
guy with
I have
tattoos in his
no
dreads. Like,
idea.
Let me tell you something.
yeah.
Let me tell you something. The only reason I mess with Takashi is literally because he says Treyway.
No,
That's
no,
it. I just think that's cool. Treyway, like every time he says, I'm like, yo, you're tough. But other than
But
that,
speaking of Takashi, I wanted to say, do you know that this man posted a video of Black China dancing to his new song
and said it was Beyonce?
and said it was Beyonce?
Oh, wow.
Because he's not in touch with our
Like
generation.
that's wild to me.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
It's a generational gap, but I understand.
Yeah, that's a hell of a
But that's what I say when I talk about Kanye. Nobody's following. Anybody with sense that grew up with Kanye is not following what he does in his personal life.
So if he brings an album out, you're still supporting it.
That's his music. I'm gonna listen to it.
That's
Yeah,
1000%.
I'm listening to it.
You
But if he
gotta
drops
whack.
Yeezys, I'm not buying
You
them.
gotta whack.
I mean, I'm a little stuck. I might have to play a track or two.
You have to. You
Yeah,
have no choice.
you're-
I'll give you excuse. These two are whack.
No, Kanye goes hard. It is what it is.
Drake goes hard.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, well, listen to Drake too.
This is true. This is
Got
true.
me there.
I just think that, like, I can understand why everybody's upset with Kanye 100%. I just think that we shouldn't be giving him so much power.
He craves the
even listen
attention.
to what-
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're giving him exactly what
He
he's looking
loves
for.
this. It doesn't matter. He's somebody he doesn't need good publicity.
Yeah.
He just wants publicity. So if we stop shedding so much light on the shit he does, eventually
You can't say that though, because this is the world that we live
Yeah,
in.
it's
right?
not gonna happen.
You know what I mean?
But
You're
just saying-
right, but
yeah.
yeah, it's
but
not
I'm
gonna
just
happen.
saying, like, the way that people are like, oh, why is Kanye whatever? Like, we know why Kanye is doing this.
Yeah, facts.
That conversation needs to be dead now because
We know that's the problem.
Yeah.
We know, but there's people that don't
That
know.
don't know. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Those are the people.
But
that,
those are
like,
not the people in our culture, though.
Some of them are, bro.
some
Some of
people
them
are
are in
really
the sunken
losing
place,
sleep
man.
over whatever it is that Kanye West is doing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, don't give that man that much power because, as he said, he loves himself. He is not worried about any of us.
Yeah.
He's trying to rub shoulders with a man
Ralph
who,
Lauren.
Powerful people, whoever
Yeah,
whoever
like,
powerful
exactly.
people are, he wants to be
He's
around
not
them.
worried about
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. I
This is
hear
true.
you.
This is true.
I hear you. Another OJ.
That's actually facts. He is the modern day OJ.
Yeah.
So
Sad.
be careful, Kim.
Kim, what you
Yeah,
gotta worry
be
about?
careful, Kanye.
Kanye's already done, man. He's already done.
But he might be done soon.
I know, no, honestly, yeah, I can see why everybody's saying he's done, but he is honestly about to be done.
Yeah,
and it's sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad about it.
So he's not in a get out situation?
I don't think he wants to get out.
Okay.
No, he doesn't want
I
it.
think, I think that
He
movie
wants
should
to
be called
get
Get In.
in.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And the sequel Stay In. Man. You don't want to go nowhere out. You built the sunken place. Man.
That's hilarious. That's good. That's good.
All right, now off Kanye. What else we got going on?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Kanye fan,
you
there's a
wanna
lot
take
that was
this
said
one, or
about
you
him.
want me to go on this one?
Alright, so what we're gonna talk about next is a situation
Why are you kissing your
that
teeth for?
I hate this situation. I
It-
wish
it
we could
hits-
end on Kanye because this is gonna bother me. But let's go.
it I guess you could call it local news.
Yeah,
We're gonna
local.
we're gonna talk about, it's a serious matter.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about the Crystal Wilson, I guess you could say allegations.
Allegations,
Allegations,
yeah.
So I'm gonna let Jermaine explain what's going on, but
Yeah.
I want to say before I say anything else, people don't like to listen. I'm saying it right now before we have this conversation.
Giving disclaimers.
Disclaimers.
Disclaimer.
I know you're new, but come on.
We need a drop that says disclaimer. I don't believe that Crystal is capable and would do the extreme portion of what they are
Portraying.
accusing her of doing.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
But I am going to say how I feel about the whole situation because I am a firm believer that where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's go.
All right, so let's
Wow.
drop the
What
details.
the hell am I supposed
I
to
know.
say?
Yeah.
It's like drop the mic.
We're gonna explain, but I'm just
All right, let me hop into this. Let me hop into
You know
this.
the whole situation?
I know majority. If I miss something, you can pick up on
All
it.
right, go ahead.
So I got a call. I'm at work. I get a call from my cousin, right?
We're gonna do it like that.
Yeah, we started from beginning.
Yeah, I feel like everybody should say where they were when they got the news.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think everybody in this room
knows
Crystal or knows of Crystal or something like that. Yeah.
So I get a call from my cousin.
Talk about how we know Crystal if you guys want.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna be a long story for me, but yeah, you can.
Go ahead.
I'm at work. I get a call from my cousin, and she doesn't typically call too often. So I was like, "Oh shit, is something going on? Like, what's happening?" And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, I need to get something off my chest." And like,
that's actually how she sounds.
Yeah. She's like, "You're probably like one of the only people I could talk to about this." I'm like, "Oh shit, like what happened?"
Yeah.
And she goes into the story. Is like, "Oh, do you remember when my kids went to this basketball camp? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay. I'm waiting for her to get to the point, right?"
Get to the juice.
Like, what happened? She's like, "Yeah. Do you remember Tristan that ran the basketball camp?" I was like, "Yeah, I know Tristan." She's like, "Yeah, you know his wife?" She's like, "Yeah. She was just accused of sexual assault, or she was not accused, charged of sexual assault of a 10-year-old boy." I was like, whoa. First of all, that was the first. I was like, what? Crystal? Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, like it's all over the news. They put her picture up, like her name. She's like, I heard about the story before, but now they just dropped the picture of who was actually charged. And she broke down the story to me. And I was like, wow. Like off the top of my head is like that family or that couple, that relationship is something that you look at like, they're doing something right. Yeah, like they're doing something right. Yeah. So hearing that story was like, whoa, like automatically you go to, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, fact.
Okay, so before we move on, you're saying that you don't believe.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just off
Sierra's
the first.
jump into the juice.
I know.
She put on a lot of disclaimers. We didn't even get into the convo yet.
No, before we go into it, I want like your first reaction when you heard it. You thought like there's no way, or were you like I need more information?
I'm always I need more information kind of person.
All right,
so my initial like that's strange obviously to me, but like I don't have enough information for me to make a decision on what do I really. I don't know. I know how I feel. Okay. I obviously don't know what happened, but based on what I know about her, I would have never thought something like that would be something she would do.
All right, so let me go next because it's kind of obviously a continuation from what you said in a way. So I came home and I received a letter from my daughter's school. Reason being is because there's a new school that opened up, which my daughter attends, and students from Crystal's old school transferred over to there. So they're letting us know of the situation in case any of those students were a victim or whatever, doing their due diligence. So I read, it was a double-sided paper, and I read only one side. I didn't realize. So I read it, and I was like, oh, what the hell is this? Like, there's a teacher doing this. And I assumed that it was a man doing it to a little girl.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the details, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, wow, like, this is messed up, blah, blah. Come to find out, Superfly calls me. He said, yo, do you hear? Not thinking anything like, oh, what party's happening? Like, what's going on in, the news, but not that. Goes, well, Crystal supposedly is getting charged with this stuff and blah. I go, what? And as soon as I said that, what? He sent me a picture of her face. I'm like, no. I'm like, you realize that this is Crystal, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, no, like, this is Crystal.
That's what I said. I said Crystal.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I don't know why we do that. Like, is it Crystal A or Crystal B? But you're always like, yo, that Crystal? Like, Crystal? But, and the thing for me is, when you say that family portrays that, for me, when I say family, I mean the whole Clueless family, including her. So for me, I go to church with Tristan and their family. I've been in their house. Tristan.
So you're talking the Cluelesses or the Wilsons?
Well, she is a Clueless.
No.
She's married to Tristan.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm talking about the Clueless family.
Yeah, okay,
right? Yeah. Sorry. But including her because
she's a Clueless.
Okay. Yeah. So I know their family, but then I also know Tristan and her as a family. And in their home, as in Tristan and Crystal's, I was going there every week doing Bible study. So I've had different interactions with her, and for me, when I first heard it, I'm not gonna lie. I thought absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going further and hearing more things, do I feel like I
Wait,
still
wait.
need to know more?
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I still stand behind her,
Okay.
straight up. And if I'm wrong, then it will be something that I look at her way. But I personally won't feel away because I'm supporting somebody that I truly
Based on
feel
what you know. Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy.
JT, you're up. Um, so, real quick before I get into Forte, how did you meet her?
I don't think I've ever had an actual interaction.
Oh, just through the
personally with her,
basketball
just
camp
through
type of
her through her husband.
Okay.
That's how I know
Okay.
her. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, it's very the world's a small place,
Yeah.
and very interesting. So, I guess I'll put my disclaimer out there because I see Sierra like burning me with her eyes.
It's not my turn.
So, my disclaimer would be, when I first heard it, I believe the exact words is that was a lie.
Okay.
Those were my exact words. But backtracking a little bit, so how I met Crystal, I believe she has an older sister.
Yeah.
I believe so
Yes.
too.
So, okay, so one of her older sisters actually hired us to DJ for an event for her father.
Okay.
So we went by her dad's house. We DJed this event. Her dad had a great time. Obviously, Crystal was there, and she was like, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so good, da da da," all that type of stuff. But like coming on to the end, Tristan showed up, and she's like, "Can't wait to tell my husband about you guys, da da da," all this type of stuff. And then when Tristan showed up, I was like, "Tristan?" He's like, "Jay?" I'm like, "Yo, what's good?" He's like, "Yo, that's my wife," and I'm like, "Oh." So we got to talking and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yo, I heard you guys did a great job. And, going forward, I got stuff for you guys to do." So I was like, "Yeah, just hit me up, whatever." So from there was multiple events, whether it be for cousins, whether it be stuff for Crystal and Tristan, even for the church. We've done multiple things. And just, like I said, being in contact with them, knowing how heavy they are in their religious beliefs, seeing a lot of the great work that they do, because in terms of the church, the reason why that they called us was they basically were doing something for the younger folks at the church, and they wanted the kids to see that you could still be very God-fearing and go to church and churchly, but yet still have a good time. In terms of listening to music and stuff like that. And I mean, even the parameters of the music that they wanted us to play, they were like, "Yo, we're counting on you guys because we don't want, obviously swearing in the music.
Yeah.
We don't want sexually suggestive music. We want good music. Michael, stuff to dance to, stuff to have a good time." So, it was a lot of pressure, but at the same time we did it, and we were actually glad that we did it because it gave us a different insight, and now I believe that we're able to cater to a group like that, So with that being said, same thing. My interactions with them and just kind of seeing what they're about, I don't think that that's something that resonates in their core. They have too much religious beliefs.
Yeah.
I think
Wait,
to
hold on.
wait. I know your brain's working, Sierra.
Okay.
So for me, I was just like, there's no way. And like I said, because she has older sisters, I see her with her nieces, her nephews. The Kunis family is pretty big. They have a lot of younger kids like that. An extension of the Kunis family is basically the Webleys.
Yep.
I mean, back in the day, I used to date Toya, and it was for years. Prior to that, we always stayed close. We do their annual family barbecue. We go to their karaoke night. There's so much things that both of those families and a lot of people are tied in, and we always see them, and people always get a good vibe about them and stuff like that. So, like I said, I think based on me knowing them and the interactions, my first thought was that is a lie. But in the same breath, I also did say that if there is, I guess like what Sierra said, where there's smoke, there's fire. If that is a possibility, the way I looked at it is there's something really, really wrong with the world. Like if you could portray that type of image and still get to the point of what these allegations are saying, that there's something really wrong with the world.
We already know.
But I mean,
but it just
for
hits
it to
home
be so close.
it's personal. Now it's personal.
For it to be that close.
Yeah.
Now, where I was when I heard about it, I was at work, and I got a message from actually my child's mother. So she sent me a message, and it was basically like, "Hey, Crystal's being charged or these allegations, right?" And I clicked on it and I read the first headline,
Yeah.
but same thing I think for First Class. Like when I read the headline, I thought they were praising her for, I guess you could say, helping a little 10-year-old boy get out of that situation.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe he came to her with the allegation.
That's where your mind went first.
That's you know what I mean. But then I'm like, hold on, she wouldn't send me that if that's what it meant. So I'm like, let me backtrack and whatever. So I read it, and I was like, no, this.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I was at work, so I was like, I need a minute. I'm like, so I took a time out. So then I called my boy that I DJ with, Fly, and I called him and I'm like, yo, bro, I'm like, why didn't you tell me about the situation? He's like, and he just sounded distressed, and I'm like, he's like, yo, bro, that was all over CP24 just now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, yo, everything. They called her name. They talked about she's a resident of Durham.
Yeah. They said her address, bro.
They would have to. They would have to. Yeah.
So I was like, really? He's like, yo, they talked about her singing career, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yo, they just put everything on blast. And he's like, I was really, really upset about it. He goes, honestly, that's why I didn't really reach out to you. And I was like, yo, that's serious. But then, same thing. I think when I backtracked and I realized that this happened a year ago, I was like, why now? Why are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Right? Which a little bit angered me because I was like, let's just say they got to that point where, okay, it's happened. She hasn't been teaching for a while or whatever the case may be. Maybe she might be in the stages of rebuilding her life. And then for this to happen is kind of a teardown again. You know what I mean?
So no, it didn't. It happened a year ago, but the charges were just laid. So they still have to do
so
their investigation and all that. So
you can't just
Yeah, you can't just charge her right off the bat.
No. Which is I think publicly it was never put out there. Like the way I feel like this happened, you removed the teacher. It was done in the dark because we didn't know about it.
I don't think they could use accusations unless they're charged.
But
they can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because as far as I know, she hasn't been teaching for a while now.
No. She's teaching.
Still?
She was. Okay, she was teaching. I know that for a
fact. Yeah, she just came out.
You're in.
All right. So, I was, like I said, I got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a message from a friend.
Yeah.
Not gonna say names.
I'm not gonna say names.
Okay, that's cool.
For a reason.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So I get a message from a friend, and my friend lets me know, hey, did you hear about? Do you know Kristen? Crystal and Tristan. So then I was just like,
that's a good one.
I'm like, who? So then, whatever she explained, I'm like, oh yeah. And then she tells me what happened. Our kids go to the same school where this has taken place. Now her child is new to the school. My child has been going there from kindergarten. I've seen Crystal in the school many times.
So you got a letter early out? No.
I didn't even get a letter.
Whoa.
Yeah, apparently they said a letter went out. I never got it. And my child attends the school where this happened.
Okay.
That's a whole nother.
They said that the principal sent an email blast. I didn't get the email. I didn't get a letter. But anyways.
Yeah.
So she lets me know immediately. So as soon as I'm out of my training, I call my friend. And I'm like, yo, I don't believe this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it. Now, I'm going to pause for a second because I don't know Crystal personally.
Mm-hmm.
We went to, she went to All Saints. I went to two different Catholic high schools. I went to Father Leo J. Austin. So they're both in Whitby. And then I graduated from Notre Dame. However, when I was in high school, Crystal was the shit. Like, if you were a female, you looked up to Crystal.
Yeah,
she carried herself.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter, and there's certain females that I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind if my child turned out just like that.
Yeah.
And Crystal Wilson and Asha Shelton are the only two females that I can say that about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the way she carries herself like a woman.
With grace.
With grace.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
And me personally, I don't really look up to many people, but she's somebody that I'm like, I like the way she moves. From I was in grade 9, I always felt this way.
Okay.
And my family is not very close, but I have family that's close with her siblings. And then I have a lot of friends that are very close friends with the Clunises. So again, you all grow up in around the same area, so you know people. I'm not one to vouch for people, but I just strongly felt when I first heard it, I'm like, I don't believe it.
Right.
So the story that I got was, this little boy was infatuated with Crystal, which is understandable. She's a beautiful girl,
Okay.
little great 10-year-old boy
Okay.
who, if that was your teacher,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I get it.
I've been wanting some of my teachers back in the day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holla at Mr. Kemp. I don't know where you are or what you're doing.
Shout out to Miss Rock.
Holla.
Yo, Miss
Rock.
Rock.
Boy.
I want to catch her at a vet.
Boy.
She's my night school teacher.
Oh man, don't do that right now.
All right, yeah.
Don't do that. Now
But
you're bringing up real
yeah,
things.
like I get it. So apparently he was infatuated with her, and apparently I guess he was sending her letters, like love letters, whatever these letters were. He was sending her letters. She ignored it. Probably just like whatever, Bobby, blah blah blah. His name is not Bobby. I don't know what his name is. I just said that.
Yeah.
Then he had called her husband's phone.
Right.
And told her husband, your wife gave me a hand job, and hung up the phone. At that point, from my understanding, is when Tristan and Crystal brought it forward to be like, look, this is what happened, etc., etc. At that point is where the story that I got again is how this investigation got launched. So obviously I didn't know this backstory when she was out of school last year.
Yeah.
School year started this year. I wasn't even thinking about it. Not until I heard the story was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen Crystal at the school.
Right.
Right? She is now teaching at another school.
Yeah.
So she's still teaching, whatever. When I'm hearing the story, when I'm talking to my friend, I'm like, yo, there's no way, like this is a lie. I don't believe it. Like 100%. I got back to my hotel and I was reading like anything I could find, I'm reading it, and I'm like, nah, I don't believe it. Then I started seeing the hashtag. And I'm like I support it. I sent Tristan a message. I'm like, yo, I'm praying for you guys if you guys do a GoFundMe.
I'm gonna go in with that after, but go ahead.
Yeah, if you guys do a GoFundMe, I would definitely put towards. I know she comes from a very well-off family, but I would put towards like supporting.
For sure.
If she needs lawyer fees or whatever, because I don't believe it. Like I don't believe it.
Nah.
So I go to my bed now, and my little cousin she calls me at about. I fell asleep early, so she called me I think about 11:30. So I called her back because whatever. And when I called her back, she was calling to be like, did you hear about this? Because they know the school that Savannah goes to.
Right.
At that time is when my wheels started turning, because I was on the phone with, it was like a three-way call. I guess you call it my family, my aunt, my uncle, and my cousin, and then myself. We were all on the phone, and we were going back and forth on our thoughts. And at that point in that conversation...
Hold on. Before you... So because you said your aunts, uncles, and that type of stuff, right? We're on the phone?
Yeah.
Do they know Crystal too?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Continue.
No, the family.
They know the family. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So we all were in agreement, like, yo, this is far-fetched. This is wild, essentially. But the more conversation that I had, the more that I was starting to think, like, okay, I need more information. Like, before I go out here and I decide to post the hashtag and all of this, I want to know, like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Now, before I'm going to let you jump in next.
Keep going.
We're going to continue. Yeah. Like I said, I went to lunch with my dad. My dad is, if you know my dad, you know, he's the type of person, he doesn't care. And I literally was like, Dad, did you hear what happened? I don't believe it. And my dad said to me, Sierra, you should learn never to vouch for anybody, because when someone else shits, you don't shit with them. So you can't talk about somebody else's shit. You don't know 1000% what happened from what happened. At that point, I'm like, okay, that's right. Do I think that Crystal Wilson put her hands on that man's private area and gave him a hand job? No, I don't think that. What I do think is that she didn't report what she needed to report. Like if he was flirting with her or anything of that nature, whatever it was, she didn't report it when she was supposed to, and I believe that that's why she's in trouble right now.
Okay. So you touched on something with your dad where it's kind of the same story with me.
Wait, sorry, not to cut you first, guys. You're going to talk about that point, or you're going to go back Because she mentioned something about sending Tristan prayers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
okay,
same thing.
All right, cool.
So what happened with me is I'm the same way like you.
Mm-hmm.
If I truly believe something, I I just want to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help. I want to go all the way in
Mm-hmm.
to the point it's a fault that even Superfly sometimes has said to me like, why are you doing that? Like, they wouldn't do that for you, but to me it's like I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway because that's me.
Mm-hmm.
So I messaged Tristan as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I messaged Tristan and I'm like, you know what? Um, this is something that I believe we'll get through, and my prayers are for you. And I doubt I can do anything for you, but I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do is ask. Tristan messaged me a couple hours later and said, "Thanks, brother. Can you post and share this?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was a justice
Mm-hmm.
for her.
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to post it right away.
Mm-hmm.
I will also not name names,
Mm-hmm.
but several people are like, "Don't post it."
Yeah.
And we got not an argument, but a little bit of debate of why not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like it is important to post it and support your own.
Mm-hmm.
While they were pretty much saying what your dad said.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who everybody is just because of what they show you.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is actually a mirror of real life in the sense that we look at all these pictures and we like it and we comment them and then we think we know that person.
Yeah.
But then you see them in real life
It's
and you
nothing
don't
like
know
it,
it.
yeah.
It's the same thing except there's no social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know this person. If somebody was to tell you that I murdered somebody, you say never. Jermaine would never do that until you hear the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how he was capable of doing that, but you don't know what demons people are dealing with.
Exactly.
You don't know what depression people are going through. With that being said, I was in a spot because I never want Tristan Clunas to ever question me
Mm-hmm.
because I ride for Tristan Clunas,
Mm-hmm.
and I will also ride for his wife because of
Him.
Tristan Clunas.
Straight up.
Because I have a relationship with him more so than her,
Mm-hmm.
right? But everybody kept saying that to me, so what I ended up doing is saying, you know what? I have to post it.
Mm.
They're like, okay, put it in your story. It's 24 hours,
Mm.
and you've done what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I never wanted is that he came, oh yeah, like she was innocent, but you didn't post her.
Yeah, but you. So this is the thing with. This is what I
I think-
hate about Instagram and
Social media in general.
Yeah, is like what exactly like
What is
because
that?
I saw everybody posting.
What
it.
is that
Not
posting?
everybody.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people
But I hear what
posting
you're
it.
saying.
My thing is like, why are you posting it? Are you posting it because you think Crystal didn't do it? Are you posting it because
'Cause
your friend told you
everybody
to
else is
post
posting
it?
it.
Are you posting it because the way they're treating Crystal in the media? Are you because the way that they are, the way that they dealt with this girl in the media is wrong.
Well, that's,
Absolutely.
what, that's for me.
That's
It's all of the
wrong.
above what
Yeah.
you said. Because I've seen that. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I get what you're saying too. Like, there's some people, again, no names, that are just posting to post.
Yeah.
Right? But I did my
They
due
probably
diligence.
didn't even read an
Right.
article.
Yeah.
I did my due diligence in reading, I think it was Global that I read,
Yeah.
where they had stuff from her music.
Yeah.
They had pictures of her, I think it was her Facebook because her Instagram was down. And then they talked about things that she did in the community. Where if you read that, if you took out 2 paragraphs, it would look like they were, like you said, talking good about her, what she's done.
Yeah.
Right? So that alone, I felt like even though we are just the public, there wasn't enough information to say like, okay, where did you see that she crossed the line? Like you don't have to give us
I'm
everything.
hearing things like she, and this is the thing where this is what I get having to put information out there because it's like you have to inform the public, but at the same time, put everything out there.
Exactly.
No, they don't do that.
But
They don't.
that's not the media.
That's
The
not
media.
the purpose.
Nobody
That's the
nobody
law.
nobody wants to see the good side.
Yeah.
Like people want to see the juice.
but
that's
not only-
that's
not only
partially
that,
the law too.
I
You
think
can't do that.
I think the media.
We'll put everything out there. Yeah.
Right.
You
That's
can't
why
put
even
everything.
like sometimes you'll see like, for example, Breakfast Club. Someone might be in a case and they'll be like, for
Can't
legal
talk about it
reasons,
right
I can't
now.
put that out.
But the media though, they can't talk about it right now. But once the case is over, you have the opportunity to talk about it. But the
Fact.
media will never jump back to
And
No,
so
they'll
this
never
is what
back up.
actually
If they
happened.
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back
for
to,
sure.
like, let's say she's found not guilty,
Exactly.
which we pray,
Yeah.
we pray that happens. They're never gonna be like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
this is what really happened, and this is why
Exactly.
the child said this, and this is why.
Right.
You're never gonna hear
That
that.
story's never gonna happen.
hear
You
that.
know, whatever. My issue is the fact that they went so deep to be like, Crystal must have been on. I don't know. I'm not gonna quote what news station she was on or whatever it was, but she was talking about how she had previously suffered from depression.
Depression, yes.
Right. And they were talking about someone had given me the point of view to look at it as they are trying to vilify this girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And they're doing this because she's black, which I agree. 100%.
That's every
Well,
any
let's
situation.
stop it right here and say, does anybody disagree?
That's
I sure as hell don't.
No. Yeah, I definitely think that the fact that all of this girl got arrested in the morning. She got bailed. Yeah, I don't.
I'm learning some
I don't
news
talk about anything that I don't do my research on.
Yeah.
She got bailed, and by the time that she was done in court, it was already on every single news broadcasting. They didn't. The one of the clips that I watched said, we think that she taught at this school. They named the school she taught before my daughter. When she taught at the school where my daughter teaches
that's
at.
SJ, right?
Pardon me?
SJ Phillips or whatever.
I don't remember the name.
Okay.
And then they talked about the school where she was currently.
There's about 5 different schools that they mentioned.
And they were like, we believe that there's other victims.
Yeah,
That's what they said.
And for you to reach out.
Later on in the evening, when I was on the phone, there was another article that said that they're offering a $5,000 reward for anybody that comes forward. Now let's think about this for a second. Most of the time when you hear about a reward, it's more so if it to catch somebody. You already caught her. Yeah. Why are you off? Because now think about it. If I'm a victim, are you trying to say that Crystal Wilson is that intimidating? Mm-hmm. That okay, maybe you didn't want to say it at first, but now that it's out there, okay. My kid's gonna come forward and say X, Y, Z that you needed to offer a reward, and you don't think that people ever capitalize on the fact that I could get money. All I have to say is X, Y, Z. Yeah. Number 2, she taught with young children. We all know, not to say that kids are liars, but sometimes when kids are scared or they want to be a part of the conversation, they will lie.
Absolutely.
For instance, I didn't even know that Crystal had taught my daughter. Until we were having the debate, her father and I, we were talking about it, and then she piped up, didn't even know she was paying attention to the conversation. Yeah. And she piped up, she said, she was my teacher. Now, my daughter said very clear, she's like, I loved her. She was great. Yeah. I liked her. She was fun, whatever. But my point is, this could be as simple as a child being like, Crystal Miss Wilson rubbed my back. Yeah. And I felt like she rubbed it for too long, and I felt uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in here real quick.
All right, sorry. No, but that's something that
other children might come forward, and this is gonna hurt her.
Well,
case.
she's hurt already, no matter what.
She's done.
She's finished. She's done.
Yeah.
I think everything for her is done.
And before you go in, I just want to say, because we never mentioned it, there's 4 charges. 2 charges of sexual assault. And 2 charges of sexual interference. Yeah. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because people really don't realize that what you just said is 100% deemed as sexual assault. So it's such a wide scope that is why, I'll say again, for me, it's so hard to swallow without having anything to go off. To say, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe she didn't sexually assault him, but she was wrong on that. She crossed the line, and I get why they or what the hell is this? This ain't nothing. Yeah. Or wow, I really don't know her. Yeah. Like there's just nothing for me to stand on, and that's furthermore why I'm like, until you give me something, I'm standing straight behind her, because I don't know you.
So here's the thing.
But
okay. I think there's a couple things. So I told you guys kind of how I heard about it.
Right.
I told you I made the phone call. In my head, same thing. Didn't believe it. And then I had a conversation with my other best friend the following morning. Right? She hits me up and she's like, "Yo, did you see what happened to Crystal? Like, this is crazy." And I said, "You know what? I heard about it last night. That was the first time I heard about it. Whatever." So our conversation, basically, we said our 1-2s about how we heard about the story and stuff like that. And same thing. I saw the, reposts for Justice for Miss C and stuff like that. And her conversation with me was, you know what? A lot of people hit me up and was like, I'm posting this. And she was like, why? And I had the same feeling. Like initially, I didn't hit up Tristan. I didn't because that's one thing I feel like a lot of people do. Like as soon as they hear about something, they get flooded. You know. So I didn't want to flood them with more messages. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna hit up Tristan. I'm not gonna hit up Crystal. I'm gonna let them breathe right now. It's probably a lot to take in, that type of stuff, right? So, me and my best friend, we had this conversation. We went back and forth, and she was like, you know what? Same type of thing. Like you don't know the demons that people are dealing with.
Yep.
And I mean, even for the fact of her saying that she suffered with depression, no one knows how depression affects you and what it may cause you to do or not do. Right? She's like, even in terms of the allegations, like, yo, there's people who, if they were, let's say, as young, they were sexually assaulted and they don't know any better. So going as adults, they might do something that's inappropriate. But to the average person, you don't know that about their past, which is why you don't believe this story. So for her, it was a lot of, I think more so you really don't know the story till the whole truth comes out. So from a standpoint, I get it, and I do feel like they're going through hard times, but I think for her it was more so just be careful of how you stand behind the situation or things you say about it.
Well, not only that, sorry, but not only that.
There's a lot of sorries today.
No.
A lot of people got a lot of things to say, man.
Not only that, but we're talking about Crystal because in some type of way everybody in this room knows her, knows of her, whatever. What about, we all have kids. What about this child?
Okay, so
their parents. I'm letting you know right now. If that was my kid, I'm not stopping until whomever my child said did this.
So 100%. So to jump in there, we're Sierra. So my friend, she got into that part of the conversation. She goes, "But Jay, at the end of the day, I'm a mother, and if my child came home and said that, I don't know what I would do." So yes, I do know Crystal, but the stance that I'm taking now is because I'm standing outside of the bubble. If I was standing in the bubble and it was my kid, I know Crystal, but my kid is saying this about Crystal. So that changes the whole dynamics of everything.
You're not gonna tell your child, oh no, but I know that so and so is this type of person. Most of the time when this happens,
you know the person.
If you know the person. So you can't sit there and be like, oh well, she's a nice girl, so there's no way that she could have done this. Again, I'll state again. I don't believe that Crystal sexually assaulted that child, touched his privates or whatever. Like I said, I think that the child was showing an interest in Crystal, and she probably didn't she didn't punk him as hard as she could have, because everybody knows that she's a very kind individual. So that's what I think it was. I think that maybe even the kid got upset. And then maybe went and said, "Oh, this and this happened," and whatever.
So then, when you're talking about a kid, when you do that, you're in your head, you're gonna think, "Oh shoot, I just messed up."
Yeah, once you cross that line, you can't go back. You can't go back.
And they have to investigate it. She's a teacher. She teaches however many students.
To kind of add to that, so when like I said, when I first heard about it, I was at work. So once you hear about these things, it's on your mind.
Right.
So at work. The position I hold is basically like a team leader, right? So I got myself and I got my team and we're working or whatever the case may be. And then I see a supervisor pull up and there's a female who's on my team, which is cool, whatever. Don't really have an issue. But he pulls up and he wants to speak to her, say something about her. He walks up to her and puts his hand around her and has a conversation with her, right? And in my head, I'm like, I get it. He may want her to do something or is asking to change her
But that's it right there.
But the way that he did it, people will look at that as assault, sexual assault, right? So when he was done, I pulled him up and I'm like, "Yo, bro, I get it. You might want to have a conversation, but you got to do it without the touching." Right? And he kind of looked at me like, "I'm your supervisor." And I'm like, "I get it, but at the same time, so you don't end up in a situation, you got to figure out a way to convey your message without the touching. Whether it be you put your hand on her shoulder, whether you put your hand around, like just figure it out."
And let's be clear too, which you brought up a great point. Everybody in this room are parents. Everybody in this room happen to have daughters, right? At the end of the day, that's why while I put my post up, I never once called anybody a liar, because I also have to be aware that you don't know everybody.
Yeah.
And I would also hate to now tell somebody else's kid as well as them that they're a liar when it's true.
And
right?
that's why I want to know. Sorry to cut you off, but that's why I want to know what is the post representing? Because if this is about the way that Crystal was portrayed in the media and the way they vilified her without
I'm down
having
for
all
it.
the
I'm down for
information,
it.
I support that.
Right.
I support that.
But it's all perception on how
Right.
I
you.
think the post is
But-
just to try to put a positive spin. That's only because
But I don't know.
I don't.
I hear what you're saying. You
I
can't
don't
put
know
a
if you-
positive spin on something you don't know. And to
no, I'm talking about who made the post originally. The person that
I'm sure
made the
Tristan
post,
did
that he's the one that originated it. Everybody else, most people are
Yeah.
just following the post, but the originator
They're
had,
posting out of loyalty.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
really what comes down to.
Right.
And that's the thing.
And what you
what
believe.
side are you riding for? Like, there's people who are literally like posting it to post it. And it's like, do you know her?
But that's the thing.
You heard of her. You heard
But
she's a
that's-
cool
that's-
girl.
You know,
That's
you know,
social media,
that's
though.
the
You see
worst
her
thing.
face, you know she's pretty.
That's social media.
That's the
though.
worst thing about social media is
Yeah.
because the story
jump
dropped
on.
and everybody posts it. 2 weeks from now, nobody's
No
posting
one
that.
cares.
No,
Nobody's
nobody's
gonna,
posting.
Jump on the wave.
Go to Crystal. Crystal has her first court hearing. I think it's the 22nd. Are you going?
Nobody's going. Well,
They're not going. They're not
I
going.
mean, I would go if I
Well,
could.
Yeah.
I would
I'm
definitely
saying
go.
All these people that are posting it, like you
But
guys
agreed.
A
literally
small
off it.
percentage will be going.
To-
But I'll say this though. I will say this. There are definitely people that posted that shouldn't have posted, but there were a lot of people that posted that should have posted.
Yeah, for sure.
And while some of them went, in my opinion, a little too hard, I understand because that's your sister.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
No, well, I mean, I think especially when it comes to immediate family.
Yeah.
I didn't mean
Her actual-
literally.
Yeah,
I meant like
No, but people
Like,
that
I
are
look at
closer,
Sierra
people that are
as a
closer
sister
to
to
her.
her. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
People that are closer to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I even in terms of seeing it, there's people who I thought would have reposted that didn't.
And that's fine.
And
you don't
then
need to do that
there,
too.
There was like Tristan's sisters
Yeah.
who reposted it, right? So it's they're not directly related to Crystal, but because their brothers
Yeah.
married, to, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things. But to kind of also add to the story and not really calling names and all that type of stuff. So my best friend, she works downtown. Her boss basically is good friends with somebody who's in the Toronto School Board.
Okay.
And I mean not Toronto School Board,
Durham.
the Durham Board.
Right.
And there has been reports of this particular child. And this child being a troubled child.
Yeah.
And there's
See, and that's the type of stuff that should have been put out there.
For
yeah,
sure.
but they're not going to, right?
But it's a child. You can't.
yeah, you
can't do
can.
that to-
You can.
We don't
So-
know his name. We don't know anything
Yeah,
about
but
But
him.
he's
you
under
still
18.
can't.
But even if he was, like, they would under the like the legally, you're not
Yeah,
allowed to
you
post
can't.
any if he's under the age.
I
Yeah.
hear you, but that should be something maybe even to
Just
be
put it
looked at
in a
because-
certain way, yeah.
Exactly.
But you don't know that though. What you're sorry to cut you off. What you're saying, the media and the law go by different rules. So you don't know that they're not looking at that. For all we know, she can walk in there and be like, "We looked at the case, it's dismissed."
Yeah.
But the media
Yeah,
just
but
got
the
a piece
media
of something.
destroyed her.
Agreed. But
yeah, straight up.
If
it's-
Crystal, let's say she's acquitted of all charges, and she's like,
She's
okay,
destroyed.
she could, if Crystal was to go and work at another school, think about it. If you hear, because they're gonna have to say it.
Yeah,
You know
of
what I
course,
mean? Like,
100%.
Whatever. If you didn't know this girl from a hole in the wall, are you gonna be comfortable to be like, yeah, my kid is in her class,
No.
but I
Yeah, of course
heard.
not. Of
this
course
is-
not.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Of course not.
But you're talking about her. Tristan works in real estate.
I thought about that
No,
too.
yeah, this
I
affects
thought
the
Right?
about that too.
whole family.
The
Her
whole family.
sister's a teacher.
Oh,
at
see, I didn't
another
even know that.
school.
Even that.
Yeah.
Like
So
it-
imagine her going to school
yeah.
the
It
next
goes
day.
big time. This
Yeah.
affects a lot of people attached
'Cause I mean-
to her,
To her
them.
name.
Yeah,
Anybody
like,
attached to her
oh,
name.
hey, yeah,
Mhm.
I saw houses.
Because
yeah, but your
even-
wife is attached to.
Because
Like,
initially
a
that
lot.
was my thought process when I heard
Yeah.
about it and I was reading through it and it said Crystal Wilson. I'm like, oh, they did that to
protect
Tristan.
Tristan. And then they said
And then
also
they
known
said
as.
it, and then I was like, okay,
Wow.
well, that went
Yeah.
through the window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
I thought the
boom.
exact same way. I'm like, oh, I thought it was weird at first, but I was like, oh, okay. And then I started reading down. I'm like, wait a minute. So you put all her names?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say aliases, but
me
not aliases,
personally,
real
I
names.
feel even for them to have a chance at rebuilding, I feel like they have to move.
They do.
I think-
Not
I think-
A, there's no
I-
B,
I think-
there's no C.
But when you say move, we're not talking about like
No,
to
not-
Markham and
yeah,
Steeles.
like
No,
to,
they have to
probably
Like you gotta move to like Kelowna, British Columbia.
Yeah, they have
like,
to legit move. Like
or everything
And
has to be through our community. That's it. Those are the only choices.
Like for Crystal, she might even have to do a name change, like to get any sort of.
Yeah, because if anybody Googles her,
bro,
name, that's it.
When I got the picture, because Superfly sent me a picture.
Yeah.
So I had to Google it myself. Do you know that was the first thing that came up on Google?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Before I even typed in Crystal Wilson.
When I got the picture, I knew.
I didn't even type in Crystal. I typed in KRYS.
Yeah, and that's what comes up. That's what pops up. So the thing about all of this though, and I think it just stems from a lot of other things that are happening in the world today. This whole Me Too movement and whatever else, and I think that with these situations, they're okay. Let's say this happened, a year ago, or whatever the case may be, or whatever. However long they're saying that these things have. When I was, like I said, having that conversation with my friend, her thing was, you know what? Sometimes people make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And she's not saying that Crystal did, but she's like, someone can make a decision, let's say a year, even 2 years ago.
Right.
And they could have realized what their mistake was.
Right.
They could have gotten help. They could be at a totally different place in their life right now as we speak.
Yeah.
But we're talking about that particular mistake that they did 2 years ago, or whatever the case may be. So it's I think how these situations formulate and how they end up destroying people.
Yeah.
I think further on down the line than when it actually currently happens.
For sure. Yeah. But I also do gotta say this point. Again, my stance hasn't changed at all.
I don't think she did.
I will say this as well, going on like the other side of it, as we've all touched on. One thing that's always stuck in my head before this even happened is in the same thing that your dad said, Sierra. I dated a girl, and her mom worked with Paul Bernardo. And she said when she first heard that about Paul Bernardo, she was like, never. Because he was such a nice guy, would always say hi, respectful. He was their like errand boy. He would deliver their files, and he would talk to anybody and blah, blah, blah. So again, I do not think that she did this. I do not believe that she did this. I do stand behind her. But your dad was absolutely right in giving you that information.
Can I bring this full circle? Kanye West once said, "The prettiest people do the ugliest things." But again,
wow.
I don't think she did it, but I don't think she did it.
Wow.
But I like I said, I really believe this is I don't know. I really believe that this is whatever you call it, like student teacher protocol.
Yeah.
There was something that
I agree with what you're gonna say.
missed.
There's a line crossed somewhere somehow.
Because I think
for it to get this far.
Like she went to his games. Like he played on an extracurricular team.
Yeah.
I heard she went to his games. The best friend of the child's mom is on Instagram. She has her own
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
She has a full conversation. She's talking about there's facts, there's evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
That we don't know.
That.
Yeah. See that, like that's the thing. It's like
talking about drop the disclosure, show the disclosure.
If you really are riding with Crystal, then you should be interested in
all the
finding
facts.
out what else is out there.
Yeah, what else is out there?
You can't just be like, I know Crystal and she didn't do it because I know Crystal.
Right.
No, there's a child who's saying this. So now I do want to know, well, what's going on with that child?
Yeah. Right.
Or what is it?
Why did that happen?
If it was you and your kid,
totally different. Totally different.
If the same person, if it was your friend, if it was your family member, are you gonna be like, yeah, well, I know them.
Yeah.
So this couldn't have been. So then you're calling your child a liar.
That's not happening.
So put like this, and I think I don't know. I think everybody's on the same standpoint. I think it's one of those things where we're saying yes, we support Crystal and the family, but would you put your hand in fire for it? Probably not, because you're just not sure. That's kind of the sense that I get.
About supporting people the right way.
Yes.
Right.
I think
for sure.
The main
For sure.
point.
And another thing that you brought up too is, I want to say that teachers cross the line in innocent ways sometimes.
Yeah.
And my example of that is I had a teacher named Mrs. Bahadur.
Names?
No, I hate
trying to get her in trouble.
Nah, she not getting in trouble. If not, I wouldn't put it out there. I ain't done that with a teacher. Well, not when I was in school anyway. But anyways, there was a Pirates game. I went to Pickering High School. I didn't have a car at that time, and I don't know how it came up, but she was going to Pine Ridge. So, literally in my head, she offered me a ride. I was going. There was literally nothing between us before, during, after. But in my head, I was like, how would this look if I got in this teacher's car? But I want to see the game. So I went.
Thought about that?
I actually did.
Okay.
I actually did. Because for whatever reason, I didn't want other students to look at this like, why is Jermaine in her car? Like, you know what I mean?
No, but it's good that you
because that's
have
not going
that
to do nothing to
self-awareness.
me, but that's going to do something to her.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that she was a good teacher.
Yeah.
So anyway, she drove me. But imagine the flip side now. What if,
You could have said anything.
right? Or what if a student came to me and said, hey, I saw you in her car. And for whatever reason, I was like, yeah, she kind of touched my leg too.
Yeah.
That right there could be this whole situation.
Right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And
Or even if that student said, "Yo, that teacher did X, Y, Z."
that
to me.
too. If I didn't say anything and the teacher said, "Hey, that was weird. Jermaine got driven home by her." That's an investigation too, in a way.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Because the way that, again, from what I've heard, is that Crystal went forward and said, "Yo, this is what's happening." They called my husband, whatever.
Right.
So she could have kind of told on herself. If
Yeah.
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
There, what to from what I'm hearing, it's not like the child was like
The one that went and said it.
what
Yeah.
happened. From what I'm hearing is she said it, then they went back,
To-
whatever this kid said,
Yeah.
made it worse,
Yeah.
and that's how we're here.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
You
sure.
know what I mean? So it's the same type of situation.
Yeah.
It's
So
unfortunate.
It's a sad world, no matter how you spin it.
It is.
That's the thing.
And to I guess you could say to add to that, actually that particular day that I found out about Crystal, I actually got a message later on that day about somebody else in Toronto that I think more than most that people know, which was and I don't know, you probably actually first class probably knows. So you know Flying Angels coach?
Why I gotta know, huh?
Flying Angels
Well,
track team.
That's not okay. Go on.
Nikita
Yeah,
track
yeah,
team.
yeah.
So actually their coach
Really,
has just been hit with a lifetime ban from Athletics Canada because
their
they're
stories.
they're saying that in 2010 an adult athlete is now coming forward saying XYZ. So it was like Crystal and then like later on and I'm like
You know what my
What?
problem is with allegations? It's so sticky where it's like you can't say somebody did this without providing
Proof.
everybody with all the facts.
Yeah.
Not even proof. Like the officers need obviously a certain amount of proof before they can lay charges, right? But to put that in the media right off the bat, just like that kills somebody.
You know
because
what?
like you said, we never circle back to what actually happened.
But you know what? That as again, sad reality. That's their job.
That is their job. That
You
is
know what
their
I mean?
job.
And I'm not
But
defending
and
them.
I'm not even talking about the job so much. I'm talking about the system
Yeah.
and how it's so easy that once you're charged, you're guilty until proven innocent. So it's like you're charged. Someone says something about you. There's nothing you could do
But
at this point. There's literally nothing you could do.
I disagree. I think that that's the media, not the justice system. Like, I agree that in ways you still get treated that way, but that's the media.
So check this out. What
I
happens
think
now?
What you're saying the justice system doesn't say you're guilty until proven?
No,
I-
it doesn't say you're guilty. The
it
media,
doesn't-
the media
it
says
doesn't say you're guilty. The
I agree
media
with that.
No,
The
but
media
I
says you're
believe
guilty.
you don't. So what I'm saying to you is you don't believe the justice system and the way that they treat you sometimes is showing that you potentially are guilty prior to.
I mean, in a way, I'd agree with that
Okay,
statement.
okay.
I'm just saying,
And-
I guess we're both on the same page in a way of like, sometimes we go after the law, and sometimes the media.
No,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
media,
yeah.
The
Yeah,
media
yeah.
paints the picture, but the law that I'm referring to
Mhm.
is, for example, if this story is completely false, like
Right.
none of this happened,
Yeah.
nothing happens to that little boy.
Facts.
That little boy walks away scot-free, but her
Facts.
life is over.
Facts.
That's the justice part I'm talking about.
And remember what you're saying, because we're all saying it, but I just want to reiterate.
Yeah.
No matter what,
She's done.
her life is over,
done.
Yeah,
as
no
it
matter what.
is before this happened.
Yeah.
Like, even Kobe Bryant, he is successful. He's a champion. He's proven.
but that's the one thing that they talk
He's
about.
He won an award.
Well, I don't
8
know if Kobe
years.
didn't do that stuff. I don't know what to talk about Kobe.
Huh?
He's hating on Kobe.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying that he won an award, and 8 years after they clearly proven that she was lying, they still bring it up that he's a rapist.
And nothing happens to her. That's the problem.
But I'm just saying that's Kobe.
Yeah.
She is not Kobe.
Yeah.
So imagine now what's gonna happen with a regular person if it's not true.
So let me ask you guys a question, because I feel like my mind might be jaded by this statement. If somebody accused somebody of something, so this case, for example, sexual harassment, and it's proven that it's false information, it's a lie, they made it up, do you feel that that person that accused them should be charged or something?
Definitely.
I feel like there should be a penalty. I feel like there should be some
I
repercussions.
think in this case, it's such a hard thing.
Well, because of the kid, but I'm saying this happens with adults as well, right?
That's different. I think 100%.
People, it would lessen.
Discourage.
Yeah. Like I could lie, and
but
if I get found out, this can
I agree, but on the flip side, that's why I asked the question, because on the flip side, it might prevent somebody from actually saying something that happened, because what if somebody says I'm lying now?
That's what
I'm saying?
I agree with you. Yeah.
But I don't know the balance, the way to figure it out. But something has to happen. You can't just accuse somebody of something and it not be true and walk away from that.
See, when it has a detrimental effect, which it usually does.
Well, every time it will.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I think.
Anybody. It could be big or small. It doesn't always have to be that you
got
charged.
No, but
I lie on.
Don't use mine.
Wow.
Hold up a second. Pause.
Under the bus.
Stop that fast.
I lie on anybody.
On somebody, not me. Somebody. Chase.
And it doesn't get this far. I still lie, and there's gonna be whomever it is that I lied, I told the lie to, is always gonna question whomever it was that I lied on.
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying a lie is a lie, but you also have white lies, and then you have big lies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's a case where you're like, if someone's like,
but sometimes white lies turn into big lies.
No, I understand that. But if somebody was like, you know what, I thought that person X was selling weed out of their house, and police show up, they have a conversation. They're like, you know what, I don't think nothing's going on there, and they walk away. I get it. It happened. It should have never happened. But is that detrimental to your life? Probably not.
No, it wouldn't.
You had a little visit, you disappear.
Yeah.
Versus your career, your family, your friends, everybody's affected by this situation. That's, to me, is where it becomes different. You know what I mean?
Tristan and Crystal seem like they have a very solid relationship. So I'm just playing devil's advocate when I say this. But could you imagine the effects that are going on in their household right now?
Oh, for sure.
What I mean? Like
100%.
For
sure.
You might start to question one another. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she could feel like a victim in her own home.
Yeah.
And what about him?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
If it's unraveling where he's finding out things, right?
Yeah.
Not that she's guilty, but
it's
he
things
could be like,
know.
why are you doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is foolish. You know better than this.
Yeah.
And now looking at it like, why did you put our family in this position?
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
But it's human.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Because it could have been one of those things too, where you're saying like the little boy was writing love notes, and she didn't necessarily want to say crush him.
Yeah.
So she wrote him back a note. It could be as simple as that, right? And what it said in the note could be misconstrued.
Yeah.
But like you say, first guys are saying now, as a partner or as a husband, finding out that you wrote back that note, I'd be like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And it could have been 100% the most innocent thing.
Yeah.
But now it's like, you screwed us. And again, that's not fair, but that's how sometimes when you're in that moment, like, oh my God, I worked so hard to become a real estate agent. Now my life's over because you sent back a letter. Like, right?
Yeah.
Or he could be the most understanding, but you don't know what's going through his head.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going through her head.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's what I'm saying.
It's that household is a mess right now, I'm sure.
It's just such a sad situation. And especially, like, I hope, I plan on following this.
Facts.
And I hope that justice is served, whichever way
Either
that
way,
may be.
Yeah, either way.
And I just hope that if hopefully Crystal's not found guilty, but I hope that they spend as much time, which they won't, but making sure that they let that story out there too.
Yeah. And send all those notes to the schools.
Same amount of letters that you sent out, letting them know that this
we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't know about the letters. Maybe the letters.
Or
maybe not, but we should do that.
That's it. The community
We should
would
do
have to
that.
The community would have to
We
do
should do that.
The media's not going to do that.
Because if this was, and I don't know if if the kid is white or black,
Yeah.
but or other.
Yeah.
But if this was a white person, if Crystal was white, the white people would band together and see it through the whole way through.
If Crystal
They're
was
not
white,
gonna
the
fall
story
off.
wouldn't have dropped the way it dropped.
Yeah, if Crystal was white, the story would have never dropped the same. Let me a joke about that. My uncle went to Chester Lee Elementary School,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently the same week or whatever, the principal there were two seventh graders fighting.
Mm-hmm.
The principal went to go. The principal or the teacher, whatever. I think it was the principal. Went to go break up the fight.
Right.
The kid boxed and kicked the principal. So
I heard about this.
Yeah, the principal boxed the kid back,
Mm.
and that was it. And my uncle said, "Yo, the only reason why I even read the story is because I saw the name of the school,
yeah.
and it happened. Like I went there.
Yeah.
But which is facts. If I saw it, well, maybe I would have because my family went there. But would you have taken
Dig
the
deeper
time?
into that.
You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't all over the
Yeah.
news. It wasn't broadcast the same way. That's assault.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still
100%.
assault
Yeah.
on a minor.
And you're
On
the
a minor.
principal.
Yeah.
Exactly, and you're the principal. You run that school.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? They vilified Crystal because she's a black woman who
Yeah.
is very proud the way she walks, the way she talks. I feel that a lot of teachers are intimidated by
yeah.
Crystal.
Well,
Yeah,
let me bring
Crystal's
up
not a
something too.
full-time teacher.
Right.
She's a substitute.
Supply, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of teachers probably didn't like her.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think. Like they don't want to see black people in power. And the minute that there is somebody who is proud, they show they're proud, they're good at what they do, they try to find ways to break us down. There was not think about it. When something crazy happens, normally when they're reporting it, you might see like, did you know so and so, and what did you think about? And then, that was my neighbor for 45 years, and I never. They didn't do that. There was nobody who was able to speak on Crystal's behalf to say this is the type of person that she was. I would have never imagined. She taught my student, and my kid doesn't have that to say.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do that.
Okay, let me say this. I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's an other side that it possibly wasn't racist at all, or that they didn't do that, right? So let's say that that's the case. We apologize as a group for saying that. With that being said, I think that it has nothing to do with just Crystal, as I'm sure we all agree. I feel like a black person with a voice is the worst thing to them. A big thing that was brought up, I don't want to go back and forth off topic, but a big thing that was brought up was, I can't remember his name now. Wide receiver got traded to another team. No, follow. You'll get it.
That's
Football.
okay.
Football.
Okay,
Yeah.
he got traded to another team, and the coach of the team, help me out on the name. You should know. Got traded to the Patriots. I can't remember his name. Oh, we'll come back to the name.
Yeah.
Anyway, he got traded to one of the top tier teams.
So
A player got traded to a top tier, and the reason he got traded is because the team didn't want to deal with his quote unquote shenanigans again. He's gotten a lot of off field trouble with drugs and different things. The coach said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of him. I'm sure, blah blah blah." One of the analysis people, I'm sure everybody knows Stephen A. Smith, brought up a very good point, and they're like, while I'm not saying that it is racism, Josh Gordon, thank you.
That's the player?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's interesting that a lot of white owners, coaches, or people that are superior will love to take the troubled black youth because they can say, well, you can't have a voice because of all your history. But a strong black individual, like let's say Kaepernick, gets vilified, as you said, because that person shows way more strength and has way more to gain than to lose.
Yeah.
So while I hope you followed where I was going with that.
For
So while you're saying that Crystal is such a think about the things that you've said about her today on this show. She's graceful. When you were in grade 9, you looked up to her, but I don't look up to a lot of people. She's very outspoken. Her and her husband carry themselves a certain way. All of those things that you're saying is detrimental to somebody else if they're looking at it from the wrong scope. So, with that being said, that's part of the reason that I am behind it too, because it's like, okay, what is the purpose here?
Yeah, whether it's because she's black, because she's a woman,
Right.
whatever it is, it's something.
It's something.
It's something.
And it could be that they're doing the right thing, as in reporting it, but the way that they report, thank you.
No, so it's not the right thing to report it, but the way. But this isn't new though, man. Like we've seen this a million times.
Like I said, I think it's because it's close to home.
If a black person gets shot, what's the first thing you hear about? Oh, they had previous charges. Oh, they were under the police watch. Like, it's gonna be the worst picture. Like we know this already. They would never put us in a good light.
Well, even the fact that like they talk about black on black crime. How many times do you hear about white on white crime?
You don't.
Is that a statistic?
No.
I don't hear that. That's just crime.
No,
but if it's black on black, then that's black on black crime.
Yeah, but when it's a white person crime, it's this person was disturbed.
Yeah,
this
special.
Person,
you know, they needed help.
Exactly.
That's why they killed 90 people
this is the
instead
media.
of one person.
This is the media. We know this already.
Black people, we don't kill the same. We don't. It's completely different. It's sad. We definitely need to continue to have these conversations.
For sure.
And let them know like we're not afraid to stand up for our own, because again, regardless of what happens, I support that the family in fighting the fight. Yeah. They definitely need support in fighting the fight from their own. Yeah. And I hope that whatever, like I said, whatever has the truth, I hope the truth comes out.
And let me just say this, only because we touched on it, I don't want to make it quote unquote black issue, but in passing, I have been told that our show has given the angle of a black perception. There are 4 black people doing this show, and while I will vouch and say that none of them are racist, we are going to give you our perspective, and we just happen to be black.
It's not even perspective, it's our reality.
And that too. That too, right? So I'm sorry if the show is too blackish, but this is what we are, and this is how we'll be.
And let me full circle this back to Kanye. Again, Kanye is a black person in the media, and the media is giving him all this attention because he's painting black people in a negative light.
Right.
They're not going to give this attention to somebody that wants to speak to Trump that actually has something positive to say.
Right.
The media's not going to be there for that. So again, that's why I say it's not so much about Kanye being Kanye. This is what This is what they want us to see.
Wow, man.
Because there's a million Kanyes out there.
Yeah.
But they're just not getting the media.
Yeah. That's a real full circle, because in a way it's like somebody portraying us bad has a negative effect, and now somebody that's portraying us good possibly
is not getting no light. That's it.
Crazy.
That's how it goes. I mean, love us or hate us, agree to disagree. That's how we get it.
Yeah, man, but don't hate us, man. You need to like, you need to subscribe.
Don't hate us for sure.
I think this was a hell of an episode, changing it up. Wow.
Yeah,
we got a lot out.
That's how it goes down.
I think we could still go, but I think we gotta call it quits.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. I mean, yeah, man. If you engage in the conversation, if you like what you heard, hit us up. Agree to disagree. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking, things you want us to talk about. Let us know whether you agree with us, disagree. Just hit us up. A2D the show. All streams of social media. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Play.
Google
Apple
me,
Pod.
bitch.
That's it. Just Google it. Google it.
Too.
Instagram.
What's the Instagram page?
A2D the show.
There you go.
Make sure you guys get it. That's on Instagram,
T-H-E?
Twitter,
THE.
THE.
Could I get out?
So, I mean,
we're still a rap group.
Before we wrap it up real quick, any shout outs real quick from anybody?
I'll go first. I want to shout the newest member of our crew here.
Yeah.
Sierra came all guns loaded.
Oh, loaded.
Oh, yeah.
She had a lot of information. Love it.
I think she was practicing all week, because she came out here like, yo, I'm going to show you a thing or two.
She unloaded, reloaded.
Like, all of that. Like, damn.
For sure.
I want to shout out my other host of the show, we did a really good job today. We changed it up. We did this on a whim, pretty much. We talked about it a little bit, but we changed it up, and I will vouch and say we killed this shit today.
I agree.
And yes, we are changing the format. We're swearing now.
Yeah, he's allowed to say shit.
Yeah, right? So if you don't fuck with us, then. But shout out to everybody that supports us. Shout out my family. And shout out everybody trying to change the world, man.
For sure.
More
for
people
sure.
like that.
Forte?
Let's see her go first. I'm still trying to figure out my shout outs and my
Alright,
final
alright.
thoughts.
my
You know?
shout-outs?
Oh, now she's shy.
No, I don't. This week I don't have any shout-outs.
All right.
But yeah, follow us. Let us know what you think. Let them know what you think if it's negative. Let me know what you think if it's positive.
What's your handle? Where can they find you?
You can find me at C Loren on. I'm only on Instagram actually. So Facebook's
You
for family.
don't have a Twitter page?
I don't have Twitter. I got in trouble on Twitter, so
Okay.
my fiance told me to shut that down.
That's another episode.
That's why.
We'll
Shout-
hold that down.
Shout out Beans.
That's what Kanye needs in his life.
Facts. Hold her accountable.
So C Loren. That's CYLAURREN, not Lauren. Loren.
Tell them.
Get it right.
Or get out.
I'm on Sierra's tip. I don't really have any shout outs. I'm just really hoping to get a conclusion to this story today that we discussed, because it's it sucks when it hits close to home, but I'm a firm believer anybody can do anything at any time, man. So I'm praying that it's not true, and I hope that truth comes out. But at the end of the day, like, I kind of hold firm until I have all the facts.
I'm really glad we talked about it. I was really apprehensive, but I'm really glad we talked about it.
I think it's good to talk about these type of events and these things.
And we
that
got to.
happen.
This is kind of our job.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, man.
We're real people having real conversation. That's how it goes. I want to shout out the Clunas family.
Facts.
Shout out the Wilson family.
Facts.
You guys stay strong. And man, don't believe everything you hear. Make sure you get the facts.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
I guess we'll have to update some way somehow.
Yeah, we will.
We
Left
will
or
circle
right.
back
will.
to this. The media won't, but we'll circle
You can
back.
listen to all that bullshit, but we will give you the real deal.
Yeah.
Man, people are sweating like crazy in this bitch.
Been waiting for that.
Damn, when you take off those little filters, you're good. All right, well, I guess that's it. That's all, man.
That's it. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you guys are here each and every week. Agree to disagree. We get it. Don't go nowhere.
Peace.